The Fallout Doctrine, Chapter 1, Above the Pace. 1. To get myself away from social responsibility caused me to think about how to outrun the daily pace, and even though easily achieved by meditation once it's true to the self that most of the time considered spent well, was often time that got to the seemingly endless further added loss of possibilities by an endless frame hence of non-consideration of the gratitude and gratitude each passed in the face of lost better. The usual assumptions seem like wasted opportunities, and I would consider that they are this. To get to a state where one would outrun the pace used to would most likely end up in a chase, and that in a new rule established upon one's own. To consider a way to be above it would only leverage the illusion of high ground, which, considering this, a high place differs from a high standpoint, but the horizon and arrival of dawn is best observed in the grounded view that lays below this. For it, I started to assume that I was already in my state of meditation, in such a way free from this falling away due to the gratifications or benefits driven to be gained by seizing each day to not weaving a white flag, and 4. To not be consumpted by the dose of daily rituals that arrive a loss of meditation, or the pace to be overcome by slowing the own efforts down. I figured that observing the high place, to jump up in it, just to gather one's flaws on the premises of never-ending cast down by the suspension of all that drags the self down, just threshold, the tremble towards the abyss. Sooner than expected, by this mindset, I started to figure that not filling the gaps that problems lead up to, meaning gaps that problems lead up to, defined as that problems lead up to, but trying to forget them by crossing them away with simple methods like a standalone word in place of it and marking it away. B. Sinisterizing these as an unovercomable boundary, like death. Loosen the interconnections by hailing them, like a welcome godly intervention. Or D. Just replacing them with a word of what they are. So the gap is reminded and done with, and for it, forgetting what they meant. Usually for this not to cause one an infinite downward spiral, at least a daily schedule is needed that mentions the important things, but that's not necessarily what I meant with this. With this procedure, I realized with each gap closed in this way, there started to be an appearance of non-possibility and no further consequences. But without this, happiness is not increased, though only when understood that one needs, and now one needs, to level down for when they reappear, and the empty space they left for non-consideration but immediate working towards the goals of the daily schedule. This left me at further starting to picturize the high place from below on the ground, while deeming the dangers lurking at the horizon as crucial threats to not be in misassumption of, and at a key understanding of the word hardship, which led up to the realization that the simple things in life are often better done difficult, meaning in the hard way. For example, washing the plates is better done with hands, and better done, especially, meaning washing the plates down is better done with hands, and best done with cold water to establish a routine in the mind by repeated processes that integrates to the day. If so possible, not taking the train but walking trains the person at least a little. Cleaning out the rubbish daily but with less chemicals takes longer but senses one for how much dirt is produced. And last, cooling down the flat even in winter brings about awareness of one's own body, and sleeping on the ground, mattress or clothing underneath, seems to be healing. This was helpful.